compared to say the Brazilian front line or the French front line?
I think the Spanish team, they have a very good players in front, so they can also change the players and maintain the quality. And I watched the first game of Germany against Japan, and when they changed it a little bit, the team suffered. It was when they suffered the 2 goals. But today, no. Today it was the opposite. So we saw they are playing better when start to changing and play Fullkrug in the second half. So I think that's it.
Gary, Andy and myself. Would Gary was just saying that's the best quality game that we've seen so far. You
did enjoy the game. I think there is something interesting here, because when you have two teams that both teams wants to play, you can see something like that. When I watched Germany against Japan, of course Japan just stay there and wait until Germany proposing the game and trying to play and score, and mostly to defend and to destroy, then build and do something proactive. And today we saw both teams trying to play, trying to score, trying to find spaces.
So which of these two do you not want to play?
Me?
Yeah, don't care really.
No, to have a final against Germany again, maybe again in final, so it would be nice to repeat that.
But you struggle with that.
I did, yeah. It's like all my life. It's like, but the finishes were fantastic. They really were. I think we always end up trying to measure actually the teams we've just watched against our own nation. I was thinking, how would Brazil see that game? How would England
probably
think about that quality that
Chelsea
game?
Could give it. I think elsewhere he got kind of guaranteed that and has gone on to produce.
Who was making that decision then? Who was?
I'm not sure. It certainly wasn't me, so I can hold my hands up.
These lads that leave, Sancho leaving, Musiala leaving. I think the fact that they're willing to go to Germany, to Dortmund, to Bayern Munich, and experience that sort of different level.
I think
Bellingham,
yes,
with Birmingham. Manchester United had Bellingham in the building, in front of all the top brass at Manchester United, and he chose to go to Dortmund. But look at him now. English players have stayed in England far too long. Young English players. We've only played in the Premier League. We've got a good league, but all the other players in other nationalities, they go and play in Spain, they go and play in Italy, and they have these great experiences. And I think that English players need to do that. So I think Musiala, Bellingham, well done to them.
Why are the English clubs reluctant to give somebody like Musiala an opportunity at an early age?
I'm not sure, if I'm honest. I think if you're producing at that level, that age doesn't come into it. It's just, I suppose for those boys, they want to be in and around that first team building where there is still a process. You've got to play games for the 16s or the 18s or 21s, whatever that may be. They want to get to that level early, but there is the exception. There is one that comes along. Rooney was one, and
Rooney
other players.
Help me. Chelsea seem to have. They have Pulisic, they have Havertz, they had Werner, they had. Keep going. There's loads of them, isn't there? Look at this. 5 or 6 players in his position, Musiala. So they're probably thinking, we're okay. A year or two ago when Tuchel was there.
So the answer then surely is to stop importing so many and we trust it.
It's probably a little bit different. When we had Salah come in the building, we had De Bruyne in the building. At the time, they wasn't the stars they are today. And you have the likes of Joe Cole and these players, Duff, Robin, all these people in front of them, but just can't kind of bridge that gap. The level is to then get them out.
The two you mentioned being what they are today.
My time. And again, you judge them with what's ahead of them at the time. If they're better than what's ahead of them, they come in straight away, and the manager would have been brave enough to do it. But
managers at Chelsea couldn't afford to wait 2-3 years to bring them through anyway, could they?
That's the key to it, Gaz. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Is that the case? I mean,
I think. Well, I'm not. United do. I think.
Right.
Even in the past 8-9 years, they've still brought players through. Rashford's come through. McTominay's come through. Greenwood came through, obviously. I still think they'll give players a chance to come through. I still think some clubs will.
Yeah.
Chelsea have done it a little bit more since Frank, when you had that ban, sort of.
We had to. I think you need to as well, though, because it just sends ripple effects through the academy. We had it a spell initially when Mourinho was there, when the young players wasn't coming through. You then have the young players that are the best in the world not wanting to come to Chelsea because they don't see the pathway through to the first team.
What's your pathway? Is it like to get into Europe as quickly as possible, or is it to stay in Brazil? How would you see it over there? What's the main route to the top top levels that obviously most Brazilians get to.
It changed a little bit because most of the players before we used it to go to the first team at the age 17, 18, and then still for at least 3 years in the first team and then move to Europe.
Yeah.
This was the path. Yeah. And today with the other markets, a lot of things changed. So a lot of players are going out with 15, 16 years old. So a lot of them is growing outside of the country. So it changed a little bit. And this is at the age of 17, 18, it's really hard to understand what's going to happen. If they are going to give that something different that they need to stay in a big club or something like that. So between 18 and 23, I think this kind of age, it's a key age
to move to Europe at that age.
To move to Europe and to understand if this guy is going to do that or not. So
is there a chosen venue? Garden clubs, Barca, Real,
for
Ajax.
We can go into another club before to go to a big club. So Rafinha was playing in Leeds, right?
Yeah.
And then now he went to Barcelona. Anthony, he was playing for Ajax and now in Manchester United. So at that age, 18 to 23 is the time that we see, well, he had that thing that everybody expected, so he can move and he can play in a big team, or no, at this age we haven't seen nothing yet, and stay in a different market. So expected for me, so he can move and he can play in a big team, or no, at this age we haven't seen nothing yet, and stay in a different market. So for me, it's something like that.
I wanted to just.
You've been talking about Anthony all night. I'm going to ask him about Anthony.
They just paid £5 million, which is a huge fee. How good is he? Obviously, he's on the Brazilian bench at this moment in time. Is he the real deal? Is he going to go to that level? I mean, Rafinha's in front of him at the moment.
Anthony is one of the examples that I'm saying, because he was playing for São Paulo, the club that I started as well, and then he moved to Ajax, and in São Paulo he was good player, okay, then he moved to Ajax and he started to play and perform very well. So after his second year and third year playing very well, and now he moved to Manchester United. Of course, the price and everything can be discussed, but I do think that Anthony is gonna make a lot of good things.
How are we with his?
I don't mind the showboat. See, I've got no problem with it, because I would expect him to have that good arrogance. You know, when Cristiano came to Manchester United, he had that good arrogance that, you know, he was going to be a top player. So I've got no problem with that. Obviously, I don't think they wanted to pay that much money for him, but they ended up doing it. And we've got 2 or 3 Brazilians. We've got Casemiro, obviously Fred. You said Fred will come in tomorrow for Brazil, which, you know, in Manchester United was a big fee. You know, field in Casemiro and Fred, it's incredible, because in Manchester, Casemiro's just started. He's been very good in the last few weeks, but Fred has been in and out, really. How is he viewed in Brazil, Fred, as a player?
Fred so much because we think that Fred can do a lot of joker things on the field. So I think he can cover different spaces that a lot of these forwards can leave. So
you can stay up. So you can stay up front.
That's it. Me, Rafinha.
Path early to go to Europe or the big leagues in Europe. Has that made Brazil? I was going to say a different team. Has it taken any of the Brazil players playing in major European leagues, or has it made Brazil a better team as a country?
So there are both sides. I mean, it's very good because they have this experience outside. They can play in the best leagues and see different cultures, and of course open their minds and improve. And for the other hand, I think we lose a little bit our identity, because they are gonna grow up the end of their formation in their academy. The end of their formation in their academy outside of the country. So before we had these players until 21, 22. So the whole formation was in Brazil with our identity, our style of play. And now when they leave with the 15, 16, they are finishing their formation outside the country. So someone is coming with the English
Different ideas.
someone is coming with Spanish ideas, Italian, and this kind of things. But this is a work for the coach, and Tite is doing very well to put the
When you
pieces
look back
together.
now, do you regret not having the opportunity to play in the Premier League?
Could program my career, create and do. You're gonna do like this. Of course, I'll put some days in Premier League, but
How
not
close
something like
were
that.
you actually to signing for Manchester City?
Close.
Very close.
In 2009, in January, I just needed to sign.
Wow.
You made the right decision.
City thinking he was United, didn't he? But
I thought it wasn't the right time for me to move, because Milan had a philosophy to not sell the players at the time. So it was the first time that Milan opened the door to sell one player. And it was in the middle of the season, a lot of things was happening, so at the time I said no, I prefer to stay. And then 6 months later, I had different offers, and I said to Milan, if you want to sell me, I would like to play for Real Madrid, and then I decided
so
to Madrid. Actually, I don't think it's just that. Maybe if because I was probably the first one to be in the new project of Manchester
Right.
City.
Okay.
Too early.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit early then,
Okay.
wasn't
If
it?
the project
Yeah.
will be today,
Yeah.
You would be there.
probably.
They tried to sign me at a similar time as well.
I was just trying to think just when they still were just knocking at the door but weren't quite getting there. They knocked through, I think, 2012, was it when they won the
Yeah.
league?
Yeah, I think
just
so,
2 or
yeah.
3 years away. It's just, yeah.
The project time is more than the time of the period
So
of the year.
Robinho instead of Kaká. And
Yeah.
I think he did think he was joining United, didn't he, Robinho? That didn't quite work out the way he was expecting it to. So is it close one night thinking yes, and you woke up the next morning and said
And
no?
it was And a very actually- emotional game for me, because all the supporters were singing, Berlusconi, please don't sell Kaká, Galliani, don't sell Kaká. For me, it was very
They didn't
emotional game.
call you Ricardo.
The supporters at the stand, they called me Kaká.
So during the game, you were thinking about whether to leave.
Yeah, it
or
wasn't
not.
that I had that one, because it's so emotional, and I had to decide after the game I'm gonna leave or not. And
I think we can understand that, can't we?
yeah,
That's,
Yeah.
One bad game out of 1,000, not bad, is it?
Thiago Silva, and like 10, 15 years ago, I don't think you would never have believed Thiago Silva could come and play in the Premier League as successfully as. But he's done brilliantly at Chelsea, hasn't he, in terms of how he's.
But it was kind of frowned upon when Frank brought him into Chelsea, because Chelsea had the policy at the time of not signing older players. Anyone plus 30 would get a 1-year rolling contract kind of thing. Frank wanted to bring him in, had really good discussions, and managed to persuade Mourinho and the football club. Brought him in. He's been an absolute revelation. But guys as well, like even after the Premier League game, he's the guy that goes back to the training ground, gets in the ice bath, has a massage. For our younger players to be in that dressing room and see that, there's no better example. I mean, the display he put on the other day was absolutely sensational.
What is
I'm
he,
not sure-
37?
38.
38.
He's incredible, Thiago Silva.
he's incredible. He's 38 now. He's incredible, 39. So how this guy's performing at this age, it's really, really nice.
As John was explaining about the ice bath, I could see you just going, yeah, well, at that age, he looks after himself well enough properly.
No, but here also we have to say about how the medical part has increased along the years. As John just said, this part of the recovery, they are doing very well. So the therapists, they are doing very well. So they are getting longer the player's career. So
I think I was at Stoke when your career ended, wasn't I?
Yeah.
At the half time. How old?
Just before my 36th.
37.
37? Were you
Yeah.
really?
That was a different year. The medical treatment wasn't very good.
That was funny at Stoke.
No, I bet at
You
the
came out
time.
for the second half.
Yeah,
And then
just subbed me.
he'd made his mind up you were coming off.
Yeah, he subbed me. Yeah, got me off. It was needed.
You're very honest though. The way you like, I think a lot of players feel that at the back end of their. I went in at the back end of my career, going into games quite nervous that you're not going to get kind of shown up. And I think being a defender, you have that effect. Midfielders and striker, I'm not sure they have that same feeling. You've been really honest with that. How you felt at that time?
I felt terrible. I felt terrible in the last season. Yeah, I was well off it. Yeah, well off it. I just felt like it felt like it was embarrassment, really, that you were letting your teammates down every time you went onto the pitch. Just start to see that you can't get there. You're well short of it, and the players that you're playing with are just so much more quicker than you.
It's very frustrating because in your mind you're still thinking that you can do it.
Yeah.
But then you can't.
Trust me, it's more frustrating when you've never been able to do it. It really is.